It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And good afternoon and welcome to Tiger Talk. It's our final show here of 2023, and we're certainly glad to have you with us here this afternoon as we talk some Fort Hays State wrestling and basketball again here today. We'll be joined shortly by head men's wrestling coach Eric Wentz. The Tigers coming off a good showing at the Midwest Classic in Indianapolis over the weekend. Some women's basketball with Talia Cars. They played last night, in fact, down in Edmond against Central Oklahoma. Big win over UCO after a blowout win over Newman on Sunday. And then we'll talk men's basketball with head coach Mark Johnson. They had a tough overtime loss at Newman on Sunday. Didn't play last night, so the Broncos could go to Vegas. Good for them. Screws up everybody else's schedule, but so we'll move on. They won't play UCO until New Year's Eve afternoon in Edmond. So we'll touch base on all of that. Again, it is our final program of this year. We'll be back January 3rd, so make that programming note. Our next Tiger Talk is on January 3rd. Again, a reminder, you can join us by joining Tiger Club. It's simple. Your $100 for membership goes towards scholarships at Fort Hays State for the athletic department, and then you buy your meal on Wednesdays. Come join us in person. Always a lot of fun. Chicken fried steak day today. Your membership is worth that just for that meal. They'll be having it in 2024, so certainly encourage you to do that. Of course, always glad to have you with us here on the program. Again, you can chime in with a question. All you have to do is go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. Click on the Fans tab. You'll get that drop-down menu there on the bottom. You'll see Ask the Coach. And if we use the question, you'll have a chance to win a T-shirt from Fort Hays State Athletics. And, of course, there'll be pads at the table for any of our in-house guests who want to submit a question for the coaches. All right, let's jump right into it. Fort Hays State Wrestling head coach Eric Wentz with us. The Tigers at the Midwest Classic over the weekend up in Indianapolis. We had a good preview from that from you last week. And I guess the highlight is Terrius Henry. Boy, he was close. He got to the championship, finished runner-up, but a good tournament for him. You mentioned it last week. It's kind of been a bit of an up-and-down year. He's getting older, and I'm sure that has a little bit to do with it. But got to the championship match, came up a little bit short, but a good weekend of wrestling for Terrius.
Yeah, he really turned the corner this week mentally. We had some conversations with him, about how he's mentally preparing for his matches, and he was talking about how nervous he was getting. And so we'd spent a lot of time, and really Coach McKiernan, my assistant, spent a lot of time with him, getting him mentally ready for some of these matches. Because after round 3, all the matches were pretty tight. Mm-hmm. So we focused on him just taking a couple deep breaths, calming himself, and helping him realize that he's good enough to win a national tournament, and as long as he performs, with no anxiety and there's no pressure, that's when he performs at his best. So we said let's just go out and wrestle some strategic matches against some of these guys who were dangerous late in the tournament. And he survived a physical match with the Maryville kid. I think that was the quarterfinal match. Guy was just being really physical with him, and he just kind of picked his spots and scored a couple takedowns late in the match there. And then going into the semifinals, it was a guy that he's wrestled already this year who's real dangerous. The guy's bigger than Terrius, which is hard to believe, and he can throw you to your back at any point. So we just were really smart about how we wrestled, and then obviously in the finals came up just short against a guy with some pretty impressive wrestling pedigree. Derek Bluebaugh from Indianapolis, ranked number 2 right now His grandfather was an Olympic champ in 1960 and was the outstanding wrestler in the world in 1960.
Pretty good pedigree.
Pretty good pedigree. So he's got wrestling in his blood, and so and he stuck to the game plan with that one because when he wrestled blue ball at the national tournament last year, he kind of shot himself out of the match pretty early, just really trying to let it fly. And he wrestled a really, really smart first period, 0-0 first period. Got out in the second period, and last year Blue Ball rode him at the national tournament, and that cost him another point. So he was able to get out really quick, and then he just hand fought him, and we were trying to make Blue Ball take shots and try to score, and that's when Terrius got closest to scoring. He got behind him at one point, and Blue Ball dove out of bounds, got hit with the stall call. I probably could have challenged that. It was pretty. We went back and watched the video, and it was pretty close to a takedown, but I don't know if I would have won it or not because of reaction time. But and then put the pressure on him in the third and almost scored right at the end of regulation. Had Blue Ball sat down, had one leg, and was trying to hop over and catch the other leg. If he secures it, it's a takedown. He wins in regulation. Ended up not getting it, and then ended up in the exact same position, and Blue Ball was able to square his hips up and just hit a simple go behind in the overtime. But he really did turn the corner this weekend, so we're pretty excited for the rest of the year.
Talk more about that. Couple things you mentioned challenge. So you are allowed to challenge in a match. How does that whole process work in wrestling?
So in the tournament, we get 3 challenges, no matter if it's a one-day tournament or a 2-day
so
tournament.
You have to be judicious.
And I almost used one in the first round with Marcel Deli when he wrestled the #1 guy in the country in the first round up there. I almost threw the brick and decided not to. Again, went back and watched the video, and I'm regretting not throwing the brick because that could have changed the outcome because it was a 1-point match before the last takedown with Marcel. So if you win the challenge, you get the brick back. So if you start with 3, if you win 1, you get it back. So until you lose 3 challenges, you keep those bricks. So
I like that. I wish more sports were like that. I think how you only get so many. Well, if I win it, you messed up. I shouldn't be punished and only get. I should keep getting them as long. So that's interesting. And for duels, is it the same 3? How's that work with duels?
Duels, we can challenge every bout.
Every bout, okay.
Yeah. So if we want to challenge, we can throw the brick. I think we might only get 2 or 3. I don't use challenges very often, just because a lot of times you don't have an independent reviewer, and the odds of you changing an official's mind are not real good.
Point.
So if it's questionable at all, unless it's clear cut, the referee made a mistake, or I'm probably not going to throw the brick. And strategically, however long it takes to review that situation, the other guy's getting rest time.
Good point.
So if we're starting to put the hammer down, guys getting tired, I'm not going to throw a brick because I'd rather that guy break mentally and physically before I waste that challenge and give him some rest time.
Terrius goes 5-1 on the weekend. He's now 11-4 all time with a pair of runner-up finishes at the Midwest Classic. You mentioned him, just maybe some of the anxiety. Has he always had this, or is this something just kind of new as he's getting older? Maybe knowing his career starting to wind down, maybe creeping into that a little bit.
It was like that early on because he sometimes didn't believe in himself very much, and then last year he really turned a corner, and I think because there was no pressure on him, he was just kind of wrestling really loose and scoring points a lot of times at will on some really good guys, and so he felt really confident. And then obviously going into the spring and summer competition at the U23s, he really got confident, and then I think I think he had some pretty high expectations for himself this year, and partly might be coach's staff fault. We might be putting a lot of pressure on him because we're like, you can do this. You can win a national title, be our first Division II national champ. But here's what you got to do it. And sometimes I feel like maybe we did put a little too much pressure on him, and he started wrestling a little tighter, and in return, not scoring as many points and not wrestling as loose. So, now we're just focused on, we're not focused on results. We're purely focusing on, okay, how can we get you over the hurdle each period, or how can we strategically improve each match? So, and he's making some strides.
Well, hopefully this weekend a turning point for him in that regard, because we obviously all know how talented he is and everything you've said. Yeah, I think he's the guy who has certainly a chance, an opportunity to compete for a national championship. Maybe go down some of the rest of the wrestlers and how they did. I know you had a couple of others do pretty well, yep. and others not so well. But as we talked last week, this is tough. It's some of the best wrestlers in the country. It was going to be a challenge for some of those guys.
Yeah, and we had some key matchups, like DeAndre Brown at 125 had a tough close one with the guy from Colorado Mesa in the first round. Just two completely different body types. DeAndre doesn't really cut weight to make 125. This guy he was like a 5'10", 125 pounder. So it was just an odd matchup for him. He scored a takedown on the guy, and then it gave up a couple takedowns. This was scrambles, but really wrestled well on the backside. Had a couple bonus point wins. And that was really good for him because he hasn't scored many bonus point victories this year, and so he really got on a roll on the backside. And then, in his Conti round 4 match, he lost to the number 9 guy in the country, but scored a takedown on him, and so that was kind of a turning point for him this weekend. Kevin Honas, tough draw out of the gate at 133. The Parkside guy he drew, I think, was ranked top 15, maybe 14th in the country. And then just another guy, another tough guy from Coker down in South Carolina on the backside, ended up getting a fall there against Kevin. So, tough weekend for him. He's got some work to do in the weight room. I think is going to be the biggest thing for him. Maybe getting in the right weight class. He's wrestling up this year. He was a 125 last year. So, but Drew Bell had some good matches this weekend. Tough one in the first round. Lost a close one 5-2 against a guy we thought was beatable. He can be a little bit of a slow starter. Works a little harder to cut weight because he's very lean as it is. So him getting down to 41 is a little tougher than some other guys. But on the backside, he had a big pin over Central Missouri. So that's a big one for the MIAA standings. Pinned the guy in the first period, and then had another pin in the third consolation round, and then again a really tough opponent from Coker. I think that guy's ranked in the top 15 as well. Just couldn't get it going in that one. The guy kind of controlled it the whole time. Marcel Deli probably had the toughest draws out of anybody in this tournament. Had the number 1 ranked guy in the country in the first round. Actually took the guy down twice. And the guy didn't get taken down the rest of the tournament. He tech fault or pinned everybody else he wrestled until he won the tournament by a major decision in the finals. But Marcel got 2 takedowns on him, had him on the ropes, and then just got caught on the edge with really short time, ended up getting pinned with 1 second to go on the clock. But he, like I said, wrestled really well. And then the guy he lost to from Upper Iowa, I think was ranked 6th in the country, who got upset in the first round. And that guy, he pinned Marcel in a minute 2. That guy won the award for most falls in the least amount of time for the entire tournament. So he he lost in the first round and then pinned his way through the tournament.
That's crazy.
To get it until he ended up getting 4th place. He lost in the 3rd place match. But Hunter Harris got a little banged up in his first one. He wrestled the number 11 guy in the country from Upper Iowa. He got a little shoulder injury in that one, and he ended up not wrestling his second match. Didn't think it was worth it. But Cody Hicks, typical Cody Hicks, a little bit of a slow start. But then on the backside, came back and won a few. Had another head-to-head matchup with a regional guy from New Mexico Highlands. That was a good match. And then, obviously dropping his last match to the number 8 guy in the country. So that's the kind of things you run into. Yeah. If you don't win the ones you're supposed to win, you're probably going to run into a hammer on the backside who's trying to battle back through. So Warner beat at 174, just lost a couple close ones. But Matt Rodriguez really had a good weekend. Pulled a nationally ranked guy, a Division I transfer from Central Missouri in the first round. Never really was in that one, but it's a long looking forward. It's a match he can win. But then on the backside, had won by tech fall over the Newberry wrestler who just was an absolute specimen physically, and then had a big win over Hunter Tobias of Adams State. That guy was ranked top 15 in the country beginning of the year, and he doesn't like winning in the first round. I think that guy's lost in the first round every tournament he's been in, but has always come back and gotten 3rd. And he's beaten my other 184s either by tech fall or pin. He beat both of them at I believe at our tournament. Matt Rodriguez knocked him off 3-2, scored a takedown late to win that one, and then dropped a tough one. He was wrestling the Belmont Abbey wrestler who was ranked 14th in the country going into the tournament, and had a 7-2 lead going into the 3rd period, but at some point tweaked his knee, got a little mentally broke, and the guy took him down and just turned him and ended up dropping that match 21-8. But then Terrius did his thing. Tony Caldwell 2-2 on the weekend. Tony's he's got to be more confident in the way he wrestles, and when he's confident and he wrestles guys, he knows he can dominate. He does dominate them. So big one for him is going to be going into the second semester. in a good place mentally. So.
But you mentioned some guys, maybe a challenge to cut weight or cutting weight, and as we mentioned, it was chicken fried steak day today. I can't imagine having to do that. What now becomes the biggest challenge? Because you get a break for Christmas. You'll bring him back. I'm guessing it's mom's home cooking is the biggest challenge for all these guys.
Yeah, mom or grandma, whoever
it is,
whoever they're hanging out with over the next 2 weeks. Before we bring them back on January 1, we got our workout 6 p.m. January 1. So. We fly to San Francisco on the 4th. So the big one for them is going to be getting their workouts in while they're home, earning their meals. Make sure they're still putting healthy stuff in their body. I'm not telling them to starve themselves and do all the bad weight cutting. I want them to enjoy the time. They need the recovery because it's been a grueling first semester, and this will be a good time for them to heal up. And really focus on. Getting mentally ready for the second half. Because the second half, we don't have many tournaments. We got some opens that we're going to send some of our backups and red shirts too. But, dual meet season, you make weight. 2 hours later, you wrestle 7 minutes. And you're done. So we got to make sure guys are healthy and ready to go for that.
Yeah, you go out to San Francisco, and then, as you said, you get into the meat of your dual season. It's almost like 2 seasons in a way. You're pre-Christmas with more tournaments and what you did, and now duels.
Yep.
And then you get back and going into that tournament mode at the end for postseason. So it kind of shifts gears. Does it mentally shift gears as well for everybody a little bit or not?
Yeah. You got to be in a little different mental because with the dual meets, we're also trying to win the dual.
Right.
So we got individual performances because how you win or how you lose determines how many points you get for the team. And so there's times where if guys things are snowballing and not in our favor, we got to tell guys to figure out how to shut the other guy down and he can't score anymore. Or if we're close to getting bonus points, if we're 1 or 2 points away from a major decision or a tech fall, we're like, okay, now you got to find a way to get over that hurdle because now we get more team points. If you score another takedown, we get 4 as opposed to 3. If we're getting close to if we're already at a major decision, if we're close to a tech fall, okay, you really got to amp it up, put the hammer down, and try to find a way to get that tech fall.
Sounds good. Well, we'll talk more about that when you come back after the first of the year, but good finish there to the first semester, a little bit of break, and then cranks it all back up after the first of the year. Eric, we appreciate it. Great job up in Indianapolis. Enjoy a little break yourself. You and your family have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll resume here back in January and start looking at those duels and see where this team can go the second semester.
Looking forward to it.
There you go. That is Eric Wentz, the head wrestling coach at Fort Hays State University, coming off the Midwest Classic in Indianapolis. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll talk with women's basketball coach Talia Kars when we return. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Here comes Fort Hays State. Levy up the floor. Ruddle open again. Another 3. Good! Her third of the game. She's doing what Megan Ernie did a year ago when she hit 7. It's 13-6 Tigers and a timeout, Central Oklahoma. Yeah, Emma Ruddle got them started yesterday, and then everybody got into the act. Tigers hit 13 threes. They knock off the Broncos of Central Oklahoma last night, 84-66. That's on the heels of a win over Newman on Sunday. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you in part today by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family and members of the Fort Hays State maintenance staff at the Coliseum in Lewis Field were here. They just left, ate their chicken fried steak and left. We're going to give a shout out to them and all they do. Didn't have to worry about it this year with graduation because the Tigers were on the road, but one of the reasons the games were all messed up, UCO had their graduation and they don't get to use their facility for like 4 days because they have one ceremony where Fort Hays State, a lot of times there'll be a game on for Thursday night, graduation on Friday, and then a game again Saturday afternoon. Those guys are awesome and do a great job. Wanted to give a shout out to them as they were here for a while for the program. Talia Kars joining us now. Congratulations. It was a good week. You had the long break during finals after playing on Monday against Tabor. Came out and if you can bottle up some of the shooting right now, it would be nice. You hit 23 threes in your 2 games, 10 on Sunday against Newman, and then you come out and go 13 for 21 last night in the win at Central Oklahoma. Obviously, when the ball's going in the basket like it did, it makes things a whole lot easier, and you can just see the confidence for everybody. It's funny how that just, when the ball goes through the basket at a high rate, everybody just seems to play loose, free, and easy and play well.
Yeah, no, they do. They will go on the court and they think they can shoot it, and I'm thankful for that. Sometimes I wish we could mic up our bench because they make some funny comments when we start shooting like that, and they're fun to listen to. And no, it was a fun weekend.
Well, let's go back. Let's start with the Newman game. You win that one, 85-35, the largest margin of victory ever for the Fort Hays State women in an MIAA game, and got off to the great start, 18-4. They don't score a field goal in the first quarter. I think there were 4 minutes into the second before they did, and you hit 10 threes, and that was great, but defensively, you really clamped down on them and never really gave them any chance of being in that basketball game.
Something that we worked on last week was being more intentional about our press, and that really affected Newman, I think. They did get some easy shots. They just didn't go in that first quarter. So we gambled a little bit and made them do some things, sped them up a little bit, and it definitely showed.
And when you press a little bit, I mean, there is a give and take, and that's sometimes when you press. There'll probably be a few times you're going to give up a few easy baskets, and they're going to break it. I guess you're banking on that's going to be few and far between. The majority of the time it's going to work out in our favor.
Yeah, no, I think we did a good job of executing that, and then our backline, our 4s and 5s do such a great job of rotating and anticipating and moving to that next person as our girls in the front start to move. And so I think that's a huge advantage for us, is that our 4s and 5s just do a great job of moving, and I think we did. We took advantage of it. We got some easy baskets against Newman, and it showed.
You know, in years past, when you were an assistant under Coach Hobson, at times the Tigers would press, at other times they wouldn't. I know when he was at Hastings, maybe did more of that. And a lot of it is personnel. Sometimes you're more equipped, and we've seen that in the years past when you've been more equipped. Is this team maybe better built for doing more of that than maybe we've seen in years past?
I think so, and I think part of it is that we're playing a lot of kids, but also part of it, there's probably 5 girls on our team that I would take against anybody in the league on-ball defense. When you're a point guard and you see any of those 5 guarding you, it's automatically like, oh man, I have to work really hard today. Clary Donica played at UCO. She talked to their point guard before the game yesterday, and she told her, she's like, I know you guys are going to be up in me all game. I'm not looking forward to it. So people just know, and like I said, I can throw 5 different other girls on there. One gets tired, I move on to the next one, and I think that's a huge advantage for us that a lot of teams don't have.
Well, that's nice, I guess, if you're a player too. You know, hey, just go out there. I'm giving my all for however many minutes. I'm going to get a breather, then I'm going to go back out there.
Yeah, no, it is huge, and they work really hard, and then they get a break, and then the next person steps up, and there's not really a drop off, and then they get a break, and then the next person goes in. So it makes it nice for me.
Well, it's really nice. The defense was working. You get out to that 23-4 lead. So you set the tone early. I think it was nice. And I know if there was one negative, it was the turnovers, and some of that's the way Newman plays. They force you into a little bit of that, but really never took the foot off the gas. And sometimes it's easy. You get out to that easy lead, and it's just kind of sloppy the rest of the way. Never felt that happen.
No, and part of that is, I think, just we had a bunch of Wichita kids. So we had a bunch of Wichita fans in the crowd, and so they were just excited to play in front of their family and their friends, their old teammates, and so I thought those kids especially did a really good job of just staying focused, staying into it. Something we talked about at halftime was the turnovers, because that was not good in the first half at Newman, and we did a better job in the second half of taking care of the ball.
Tigers got the big win, 85-35. Yeah, there was some Hays folks, some folks from in this room at the game, but and for both the men and the women, it was kind of a different crowd. I mean, you had everybody for the ladies' game behind a bench, and then everybody came for the men had to sit on the other side because it was full, and it was fun to see. And it's that way about every year. I mean, it is almost like a home away from home, and obviously it's got to be fun to play with so much family and friends there, but it was a great environment.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and I don't know, it's so small, it almost feels like a high school gym, so it's probably why we shot the ball really well too.
Well, exactly, and hope they did bottle it up for last night. We'll take a break right now. We'll come back and talk about the big win over UCO. the Christmas break and then what's ahead after the Tigers resume later on here toward the end of the year. We'll do that when we return. Tiger Talk today brought to you by the HaysMed Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. More with women's coach Talia Carrs when we return on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game, plus catch every NFL game with the NFL Sunday Ticket. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go, or use DoorDash. Then, when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hays.
Being hounded by Fox. Galladay dribbles over here to the right wing where she gets it to Wagner. Back to Sydney. 13 to shoot. Top of the key. Wagner. Open. Doesn't trigger. Now Hollenbeck to Stearns. Corner three. Bang! She put it in. Big time shot for Ellie Stearns. Her second three. And the Tigers are up by 15. That is a big one. That might be the shot of the day to put this thing away. We're under a minute to go. Yeah, that was a big shot there by Ellie Stearns. It kind of iced the win last night, 84-66 at Central Oklahoma. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, head women's basketball coach Talia Carrs, after a win last night in Edmond against UCO, 13 for 21 from three, and as well as you shot it Sunday, came out and lit it up. And Assistant Sports Information Director Seth Kincaid, after the game, texting us, and I knew you shot it well in Edmond, but I didn't realize it was this well. Going back to the 17-18 seasons, you've hit 8 or more threes in every game down at Hamilton Fieldhouse. You had 13 last night. Last year you had 12. That's when Megan Ernie went off and hit 7, and you got that big early lead and just blew them out. You hit 13 there in 2021. The other 4 years you hit 8 three-pointers. So for whatever reason, that building has been one of the better venues for your team to shoot, and it was Emma Ruddle to get you going. She hit those 3 in the first quarter, gave you a little breathing room after they took a 6-5 lead. I think you went on a 10-0 run and never trailed the rest of the way. And then when Kate Dilsaver starts knocking him in, she had 3 all season and was a 28% shooter for her career. She hits 3 in the game. You get that unexpected offense, and you can just see everybody loosened up. And offensively, one of your better ball games yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see the ball go in the net, that's for sure. And then other people start to believe that they can make it go in the net. And Kate kind of goes in waves. Kate has days where she's not making any, and then she does. She kind of goes through that and hits 2 or 3 in a row. And I'm really thankful for those days that she has those moments. And then defensively, she always does a good job, so I can always count on her with that. But it was really nice to see the ball go in the net.
Little scary. You got the 20-point lead in the third. They came back, cut it to 10 a couple of times, and in the second half turnovers. And you know, going into the game, their opponents were turning it over about 20 a game. And you had 4 at halftime, but obviously second half they amped it up a little bit, and that kind of let them get back in the game, too many turnovers. Yeah, no,
they played a lot of zone that first half, and we executed and got some wide-open threes, and so that was good. And then when they turned up their press, they're a scary team. So I'm really thankful we shot the ball as good as we did, because they were ready to come back and beat us if we were going to let them, but we continued to maintain and still hit those shots, and we ended up getting some stops when we needed it.
Well, they kind of did the same thing against Kearney the day before, who had a big lead, came back, actually took the lead in the fourth quarter, and then Kearney pulled away late to win it by 10. They just have, the one conference win this year, or 2-10. It's a little mind-boggling. I mean, just it's little stuff because, boy, you watch them. They're athletic. They're talented. They've got good size, good shooting guards. They're in a lot of their games that just haven't been able to get over the hump and win. This may look like a big win before the season is done, because they seem like a team that's just on the verge of figuring it out, and watch out.
They really are. I told our girls in shoot-around yesterday morning, I don't know that I would pick any of our girls to go against any of their girls one-on-one, because one-on-one they are good. They're a really good team. They can shoot the three, pull up, or go to the basket, all of them. So they're a really hard team to guard, and we just did a really good job on that, and came out on top.
4 threes for Emma Ruddle. It was fun to talk with her after the game, and she mentioned something interesting, how, maybe in years past she was obviously very concerned about shot selection. If she took bad ones, she came out of the game, and now more confidence in her decision making on what is a good or a bad shot, when to take it, when to not take it. She just seems to be playing with a little more confidence right now, and you're seeing that with her shooting at a very high level right now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that we've talked about in the past, something we've talked about this year is, if we're making shots, okay, everybody can kind of get involved. If we're not making shots, maybe we should try to get our bigs shot. And then we were watching actually Pitt and I don't remember what game it was. Central Missouri on the way.
Yes.
On the way to Central Oklahoma, and Central Missouri was down. Pitt went down and hit 2 threes. So Central Missouri went to the other end, and they thought they needed to shoot 2 threes. And I told them in that moment, I said, they don't need 2 threes. Yes, they just made 2 threes. They need to go down and get a really good shot, and they went down and shot 3. I said, that's the difference between a good shot and a great shot. And so I think that type of thinking is, we're getting better at that type of thinking. So we're taking shots when we need to and not when we shouldn't.
Pitt came back, got that big win at UCM losing twice last week at home. Kind of shocking there. And we'll talk about the MIAA race here in just a little bit. Double again for Katie Wagner. I feel bad. We haven't picked her as our player of the game on the broadcast, and she's had 2 remarkable games. But that's what Katie does. You've had other players step up in that regard. But Olivia Hollenbeck, 14 points in this one. 4 assists. Williston 6'4", good size, blocked her shot 2 or 3 times, and I thought in the second half did a good job of adjusting, attacked her differently, and then you saw the results, and she hit her free throws in the second half. But it was a struggle in the first half offensively. She figured it out, and what I think has been most impressive about Liv this year, her assist total. She's averaging right around 3 a game, and we've talked about it before, recognizing the situation, and if the shot's not there, finding someone who's open, and you've been able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I think that was a difference from Sunday to Tuesday, is that we were turning the ball over, trying to get it into the post, where on Tuesday, we did a great job of getting Liv the ball when she was open, and she kept saying, my bad, because we were actually getting her the ball, and I think she was making good moves. She's a great defender. She's long, and she has a hand for the ball, and then in the second half, figured out something different and did a good job adjusting.
Well, Tigers get the win, 84-66, so they'll go into the break 10-1. And tied for first atop the MIAA with Pittsburgh State. Everybody has at least 1 loss. And, boy, you look, the top third of the conference, 3-2 or better. And we've talked about it's going to be just an incredible race this year. You were picked in the top 4. Those top 4 teams are going to be there. Central Missouri loses 2 at home. Kind of shocking, but you know how good they are. It's going to be a dogfight. Every game is going to have so much importance now from here on out when you resume conference play.
Yeah, no, the top half of the conference is tough. I think anybody in the top 6 could probably come out and win it. And then the bottom half is all gotten better too, I think. And so every night you've got to be ready to go, because they're looking to upset somebody, or the top half is just looking to beat up on each other.
Well, you got a big win, and now a little break. Was the bus a little lonely as you went home last night? All the stops along the way, there probably wasn't too many left when you got back to Hayes.
There wasn't. We ended up with 4 by the time we got back to Hayes. So a bunch of parents took their kids home after the game. They were excited to get home an extra night, so they did that. And then we made a couple pit stops on the way, too, dropping people off. So they were excited to get home for break and see their families and spend time with them.
As you said after the game, you're playing well. You'd like to keep going, but basketball is such a long grind from when you start it to games, and now what's going to be second semester. It comes at a good time. Get away from everybody, then come back, recharge, and refocus, and get ready to go for what is hopefully a run and a race toward another conference crown.
Yeah, so I want to wash their hands at home to stay away from the sickness, but don't wash their hands of all the shooting percentage. So hopefully we can continue that in the second half of this season.
Sounds good. Talia, we appreciate it. Great job this week. Congratulations on the 2 wins. You have a Merry Christmas as well, and we look forward to seeing you December 30th, Bethany College in town for the final non-conference game. Appreciate it, and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Jared.
There you go. Talia Cars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. 2 big wins. They're 10-1 and 5-1 in the MIAA. Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. Men's coach Mark Johnson joins us when we return. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
Do you believe in
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Here's Hammocky, leads the break, down the lane, out to Holden, right corner three, swish! He hit it, and Fort Hays State is back on top, 68-66. First three for Jaheim, who has 14. Fort Hays State on a 10-0 run.
Yeah, big three there by Jaheim Holden. Tigers had a lead, let it get away, came back, got it to overtime. Unfortunately, come up short in the extra period, 77-75 at Newman on Sunday. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're joined by head coach Mark Johnson. First, remind you, it's brought to you in part today by The Taco Shop. Whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, The Taco Shop, you've never had it so good. A Hays tradition since 1970. We are joined by Coach Mark Johnson. Boy, tough one. You were shorthanded. A couple of guys out for a one-game suspension for violation of team rules, and you basically played 7. I know a Hawk got in there briefly just to close out the half, but your guys battled. They left it all out there, and it just felt like they maybe ran out of a little steam down the stretch, and just a tough one against the Jets down in Wichita.
Yeah, disappointing. Felt like each half, well, really overtime, end of the regulation in the first half. I think fatigue might have got us a little bit. You look, we were up 12 in the first half and playing fairly well, and then they finish on a 17-6 run to finish the half, and it's a one-point game. You know, if you can maintain that lead at halftime, you like to think there may be a different outcome. Same thing, second half, we got up 8, and you know, we weren't subbing a lot, and we're a little bit undersized at most positions, and I think we hit a little bit of a wall, and couldn't get enough stops that our team has to do right now. We don't shoot the ball well enough right now. I mean, we're dead last in the league in three-point shooting, three-pointers made, and in today's game, you have to be able to make threes. It doesn't matter even if you shoot 57% in the game, which is a very good percentage. If you're only making 3 to 4 threes, you know, you may hold your opponents to low 40s, but they made 8 or 9 threes. That's a big difference, and that's the biggest struggle right now. We have to be so good in every other aspect of basketball to win games right now with the way we shoot it. So we just weren't able to do the other things to the level that we need to do it right now to win. And disappointing. Nothing against Newman, but that's not a great loss. This league, if you're trying to compete and be in the top 3 or 4, I don't really foresee that happening to those other teams. So we got to make it up somewhere, and it's not an easy league to make up areas because everybody's so good. But we got to find a way to do it moving forward next semester.
Well, to your guys' credit, they go on that 25-9 run, went up 8 with just under 6 to go, and it looked like it may get ugly. But your guys battled back, scored the next 10, and took a 2-point lead and had a couple of chances. And you said it well after the game. Against Northwest, saw it. I mean, you made big shots down the stretch to keep them at bay. You had that opportunity on Sunday, and those shots didn't go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to win close games, we were talking about you got to get stops, you got to get rebounds. You can't turn the basketball over, and then probably you need a 1 or 2 makes to go in important times, and we weren't able to do that. I mean, you know, there's such parity in our sport, you know, in our league. I mean, we're 8-3, disappointed. We have 2 overtime losses. You know, if you win those 2 overtime games, you're 10-1 and you're 4-1 in league, and we're having a Merry Christmas, and things can't be any better. You lose those 2 games, and now it's not as much joy. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So it's close. You know, we need to do better. Everybody needs to do better. Players need to do better. Coaches need to do better. Players got to be better in big moments, and obviously as the head coach, I got to do a better job with that. I think anytime. You know, I think from an outside perspective, people think coaches have more control than they really do. But internally, though, for coaches, anytime you lose close games, I think you take that to heart more than anything. You blame, you know, you put a lot of responsibility on yourself. What could I have done better? What should I have done better in the last possession, the last 2 possessions, 3 possessions, and all that. So, like I said, it really is a collective group. If we want to have a better record in these close games, which over time I think we've done a very good job of, but this year's been different. So I think I got to do a better job. Our assistants got to do a better job. Our players got to do a better better job of closing out games to make sure we're on the positive end of it instead of the negative end.
Yeah, traditionally you've had a overwhelming success on all these tight games, and it's been a while since you probably dropped 2 straight overtime games. They had that stretch, and you know, we talk about defense. They hit 12 threes, and they had a few open looks, but there was that run in the second half. I don't know what more you do than tackling them. Stevie Strong kind of led it. They hit some unbelievable shots during that run to take the lead.
They did. We were up 8, and I think that's when they hit about 5. Seemed like 5 threes, and that stretch, I don't know if we could have done a whole lot different. I screamed at Caleb, like, get to him, don't let him shoot. And he's like, Coach, I literally tipped the ball when he shot it, and it still went in. So, you know, that's the thing. I thought there was about 4 threes in a row there where they went from down 8 to up 8, where, give them credit, they just hit incredible shots, and that happens at times. You know, and like I said, I don't know what their overall percentage was for the game, but sometimes, like I said earlier, if you're only making 3 and if they make 10 or 12, it doesn't matter. You know what their percentage is. It's hard. That's 30-point differential right there, just at the 3-point line. That's hard to make up in other areas. So we got to defend the 3 better, and just as importantly, we have got to find a way to shoot the ball better. And I mean, I was talking back there, you know, I don't know if I've ever been around a team through 11 games where every single player on the team is in a shooting slump. We don't have one guy that's shooting the ball well at all. And if we could you just start with 1, then maybe it'll get to 2 and 3. And I do think the positive is these guys will shoot it, but we're not as bad a shooting team as we are right now. Do I think we're a great shooting team? No, you know what I mean. But we're better than this, and so maybe we're saving them all up together. We're going to be in a slump together that maybe we'll get in a hot streak all together. And you know, I saw Washburn made 17 threes in a game, and I was looking at our stats. That would take us half a semester to make 17. It'd take us 4.5 games before we'd make 17 threes, statistically the way we're going. So, like I said, we just need to keep doing what we can do and control the things we can control. And I think for the most part we've done a good job with that. And then hopefully we just gain a little confidence and start making them at a little more consistent basis.
We'll see if that happens after the break. Tigers on a break right now. They'll come back and play New Year's Eve. It gets a lot easier. They go to UCO, take on a nationally ranked Central Oklahoma team after the holiday break. Fort Hays State Athletics inviting you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll take another break, come back with our final segment with Coach Mark Johnson. We'll do that next here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
5 to shoot. Hammocky, corner 3. Bang! He put it in. The possession was breaking down, but Hammocky nails the 3. He has 19 points. He is now all alone, number 10 on the all-time career scoring list, and more importantly, has given the Tigers a 71-70 lead.
Yeah, big day for Caleb. 19 points, 13 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals. Didn't have a turnover, but 1 of 8 from 3, including a miss there at the very end. Caleb now number 10 all-time, past Reggie Klitsky on the all-time scoring list. Reggie at the game on Sunday against Newman. Not a lot of time left, but break now and all those things you said. Maybe that's what this team needs. Get away, go home, enjoy the Christmas, come back after Christmas and gear up for a tough game at UCO and maybe find that shooting stroke. It's a grind and maybe a good time for this team to get away a little bit and get recharged and ready for it's going to be just an incredible race in the MIAA this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we're not that far away. We're a couple of possessions away from having a great start to the season. So just need to keep working at it and stay positive, and our guys find a way to make it close at the end and give themselves opportunities. And like I said, hopefully we get off to a good start here, second semester, shoot the ball well at Central Oklahoma.
All right, sounds good. Enjoy the Christmas break. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And, yeah, we'll see you New Year's Eve down at Edmond, Oklahoma.
All right, I appreciate it,
There
George.
you go. That's Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. Again, Fort Hays State women will play on the 30th of December. They'll be home against Bethany, and then the men will play New Year's Eve on the 31st at 2 o'clock tip down in Edmond against Central Oklahoma. Our reminder, we're off next Wednesday. Our next program on January 3rd back here at the Robins Center. Hope to see you then. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, and the Taco Shop. Merry Christmas, everyone. That'll do it for Tiger Talk.
Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.